All right, Shalom. Of course, I want to start off by giving all praise to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Yahweh, who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahushai, who the world ignorantly calls Christ. And I just want to do a quick video. One thing I want to start off with is I do want to say rest in peace to Stephen, aka Good Servant. It turns out that he actually just passed away. On the December 9th is when he actually just passed away. Now, they don't know why exactly, like what was his cause of death. They're not sure about that. They're still investigating, what he died from. I believe he was only 30-some, maybe 40 years old. So, they're not sure what Stephen passed away from yet. They're still trying to determine that. But he was a cool guy, even though we both had, different ideologies regarding the Bible. We've had friendly back and forth, right? Friendly discussions back and forth, not too long ago. So I believe we actually just talked last, 3 weeks ago? Right? The last conversation that me and him had back and forth was 3 weeks ago, man. So, yeah, I just wanted to say, rest in peace, to Stephen. He was a cool guy. And yeah, I definitely, feel, sorry for, the loss that his family, is going through right now. So I do want to give my condolences, to them as well. But, truthfully, man, when you deal with the Bible, right, when you deal with the scriptures, what happens when a person dies? And somebody actually asked this question on the comment board yesterday, so I'll knock out two birds with one stone, for lack of better words. What happens when a person dies? Or in other words, where is Stephen right now? As far as, as well as anybody else who passed away, they're in the spiritual realm right now, right? When the soul departs from the body, it goes back up to the Most High, and, you stand before the Lord, right? And you're going to receive a judgment. And then what happens is once you receive that judgment, you get born back again in the future into a new flesh body, and you live out the judgment from your past life. I'll give you an example. That's why if you go to John the 9th chapter, right, Christ and the apostles, they came across a man, lying there, begging for some change and whatnot. And they asked Christ, hey, well, why was this man born blind? Was it because of his own sins, or was it for the sins of his parents? Now, we find out, in that particular person, or for that particular person, the reason why he was born blind is so that Christ could perform a miracle and heal him. So the people who, were watching and seeing that miracle, they would believe on Christ because they witnessed him give a sight to a blind man, right? So that's why that particular man was born blind. But the interesting part is the apostles, they must have had an idea that, a person could be born and with certain, problems, right? Whether that be, some people missing limbs, right? People born deaf, people born blind, and all types of, crazy stuff. The reason why that can happen is because somebody might be getting a judgment for something wicked they done in their past life. And that's just what it is. That's the reality when you deal with the Bible, man. Is when you're born today, into the world in this time now, because we all lived before in the past, and someone will ask, well, I don't remember living, 500 years ago. It's yeah, well, of course you don't remember, because the Bible says in Ecclesiastes, bear with me a second, Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 7, not 1 verse 7, 1 verse 11, chapter 1, verse 11, it says that the former things are not remembered, right? So the former things are not remembered, meaning what? That the past life that you lived, you can't remember that because that's blocked from your memory, right? But God knows, though, right? You don't know, but the Most High knows. So, some people can be born with certain, infirmities as a judgment for something they might have done in their past life. But then on the flip side, you might have somebody who is wicked, and then they'll be born just like a regular human being, right? So somebody will say, well, wait, that doesn't seem fair. But it could be that, that person could receive a judgment in the future. That's why certain people die in horrific ways, which God's behind all of it, right? The Most High gives men life, and the Most High takes man's life. What is that? Job 4:7. Remember, I pray thee, whoever perished be innocent. Right? Nobody ever died being innocent. Right? Remember, the Most High is the one who has power over life and over death, man. Oh, what is that scripture? What is that? That's Revelation chapter 1, verse 18, right? Christ said, hey, look, I have the keys of death and hell. Hell is a condition of suffering on the earth. And death will obviously, when the soul departs from the body, you'll be considered dead, right? So Christ has power over all those things, right? The Most High and Christ, they're the ones who have power over all these things, man. That's why when Christ was down here in the flesh, he had power to perform all these miracles. Like, say for an example, when the people saw him turn the water into wine, which, by the way, was real wine. It wasn't grape juice, by the way. But people be like, it's some type of magic trick, right? Some type of magic trick, they're just trying to, pull off to woe the crowd, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of people, when they witness some of these miracles, sometimes in firsthand, right? Because some people, just heard the stories that were passed down, but other people, were there and witnessed these things with their own eyes. So, even with that, some people still weren't convinced, because they'll be like, oh, it was just some type of act for the crowd. Just like, I'll give an example, just like how when Christ went on the cross, he was going to rise up again in 3 days. When it turns out that when they went to the tomb and it was empty, and they went around telling people, some people might have believed it, right, because Christ said he would rise from the dead, but then other people will be like, oh, it's just some type of act, they went in, they either stole his body or, buried his body somewhere else, now they're going around claiming that he rose again, which he didn't, but, it's just a trick to try to deceive the people to believe on Christ as the Messiah, you know what I'm saying? So that's the type of act that these people, would believe. But, going back to what I was saying, man, is, the Most High is the one that has power over all these things, man. It's not Satan going around, because something I find funny, I was listening to, some of these Christian live streams, and they'll be like, well, Satan's going around getting busy, right? Satan's, up to his old tricks. It's like, okay, well, what exactly, what are those tricks exactly? Because they believe that, the bad things in the world that happen, that's Satan who does it, is what they believe, which is not true. That's not in the Bible. Satan, according to Job chapter 2, among other precepts, but he has to get the Most High's will, right? He has to get his approval, before he can go and, commit some type of, disaster. He has to get God's approval before he can go and do it. Very simple. And we see that with the interaction with Job, right? Satan went, and before he could, bring any type of hardships upon Job, the Most High had to first give his approval of it. So he told Satan, hey, look, if you want to go, mess with Job, I'll let you do that. But there's one rule, though, right? You have to spare his life, meaning what? You can't kill him, right? I'll let you, go mess around with him, right? You can do a couple things that you, choose to do, but, and here's the rule he gave him, but you cannot take his life from him, right? So Satan had to abide by that rule, meaning what? He can go, and God gave him he gave him the go-ahead, so to speak, to go and bring any type of hardship on Job that he pleased, but he had to operate within the Most High's boundary that he set up for him to operate around. Very simple. Let's see. But yeah, man, it's a lot going on right now, man. And then then you have these guys, excuse that. Then you have these characters going around, telling people that we're living in the kingdom of heaven right now. How the hell can we be living in the kingdom of heaven in 2023, in like 2 days from now, Um, how the hell could we be living in the kingdom of heaven right now if, according to, just to give one simple example, if you go to Isaiah chapter 2, right, start at the top, but the main point is in verse 4, it says that nation will not rise against nation anymore, right? The nations will not know war anymore. Wait, the nations are not going to know any type of war when the kingdom of heaven is established. Well, why is it? Because again, they believe we're in the kingdom of heaven right now today, which is absolute nonsense. But with that being said, it's like if it says that in the kingdom no nation's gonna know about war anymore. Well, why the hell is there a war going on over in Europe right now? And that's not the only one that's taking place in the world, right? Other smaller countries that have some conflicts going on. But I'll use the big one, right? One of the world's superpowers right now, right? Which they have the capability to wipe this place off the face of the earth if they want to, with their nuclear weapons. They're at war with another country right now. So how the hell can we be in the kingdom if you have, two modern industrialized countries that are in war right now? If the Bible says when the kingdom of heaven is established, the nations won't know war anymore. I mean, that's a spiritual knockout right there. Hell, if the other evidence wasn't good enough, that's the knockout blow right there. So anybody who could, what's the word I'm looking for? Anybody who could sincerely go around and try to convince people that that we're living in the kingdom of heaven, that's just that's unbelievable. I mean, shit, it's unbelievable some of the things that these Christians are going around talking about, but even they can acknowledge that we're not in the kingdom of heaven. It's like, damn, with the nonsense they're teaching people, John 3:16, any human on earth can be saved. God loves the whole world. Satan's the one who does evil, not God. Christ is a white man, right? Those Jews over in Israel are, the real chosen people of God, even though they're having pride parades today. They all believe that, the Christian church. But even they're not crazy enough to sit there and tell you that we're living in the kingdom of heaven, which is just utterly ridiculous that anybody in this day and age could believe such nonsense as that. But really, what really gets me when you talk to those characters is what about the precepts that speak about Christ physically being there, right? That Christ would physically be here on the earth when he returns. They'll be like, that's not literal, right? That's all metaphoric and not literal. It's like, okay, but like, what does it mean exactly? Like say for an example, if you want to say that it's poetic, it's like, okay, but what exactly could you demonstrate it being poetic of exactly? And you find out that they don't really know that. They're just gonna say that it's not literal because otherwise they'd have to admit that it hasn't happened yet, which obviously it hasn't. I think any logical, reasonable human could clearly see that has not taken place yet. And anybody that comes to, any type of different conclusion other than that, that person just doesn't know what the hell is going on. It's just that simple. There's no other alternative that makes sense other than that. There's no other logical answer that any person can come to other than obviously that is yet to happen, hopefully soon, which, of course, it's true that no man knows the day or the hour, of course. We're not going around claiming we do. Nobody ever said that. But we can tell that it's near, right? We can tell that the coming of who people ignorantly call Christ, which is real name Yahushai, we can tell that it's near, right? It's upon us. Now, what day or what hour is that going to take place? Nobody knows that. But the time is near. I mean, hell, all you got to do is read 2 Ezra chapter 9, start at verse 1 on down. Right? It says, when there be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then you'll understand that this is the same time where the highest will begin to visit the world that he made. And that's why, if you're keeping up with the conflict, which, by the way, today, as far as when I'm recording this video, I was just watching a few news clips of what's going on over there, and today marks day 300 of the invasion. Right, today marks day 300. That the war has been going on over there, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. But the reason I'm bringing this up, oh damn, what was the point I was going to say? Oh yeah, dealing with the UFOs, right? If you go on, what's that page? BitChute, right? BitChute. Look that up on, not on YouTube, but on Google. It's basically another video sharing website, right? It's BitChute, and they have some other ones out there, but look that up. And then on there you can find video footage, from Ukraine, where you see UFOs, and there's like 100 different clips, right? But they're primarily in the zone where the armies are at right now, from both countries. It's pretty cool stuff. Excuse me. But we know what those UFOs are, right? All these guys are trying to figure out, all these guys on YouTube are trying to figure out, well, what is this? Are these aliens, from another galaxy, coming to, are they going to reveal themselves real soon? Or are they trying to make sure, that this whole conflict doesn't get out of hand? Which we know what they are. The UFOs are God's chariots, right? Those are the angels that are inside of those UFOs. And those UFOs are what Christ, who people ignorantly call Christ, which is named Yahushua. But he's going to return with those UFOs, right? Isaiah 66:15, right? The Lord will come with fire and with his chariots. Right, and that's how we're going to get delivered, right? What is that, Matthew 24:29? Right, immediately after the tribulation of those days, the Son of Man will be revealed, and then he'll send his angels to deliver the elect wherever they're scattered on the earth. Right, so that's what's going to happen. The Most High is going to send his Son, Yahushua, who people call Christ. With those UFOs, the armies, the angels are in there. The UFOs are going to go around the earth. They're going to bring damnation on the wicked, and they're going to beam up the elect into them. That's what's going to take place. So that's what people would refer to as a rapture event. That's the event that's going to take place in the future. And they show you that in these Hollywood movies, man. You have Independence Day, you have War of the Worlds. What's that other movie? What is that? Battle Los Angeles or something like that? You might know what I'm talking about. Oh, The Fifth Wave, which I don't go too deep into it, but they show it in a few scenes. Just to give a couple, movies out there that show, right, the idea that in the future, the Earth's going to be invaded, from an outside force by way of these UFOs, which they're right on that. They're telling you the truth. But the part that it's a lie about is they're not little green men from another planet, coming to take over the Earth, but rather those are actually God's angels that are inside of those UFOs. And again, don't get me wrong, I used to, I grew up watching some of those, those alien shows like what's that one? Give me a second. Oh, Ancient Aliens, right? In certain shows like that on Discovery or the Science Channel, stuff like that. Oh, History Channel. They paint a false narrative with it, right? They'll tell you that the UFOs are real, which are right on that. But then they go off saying that these are, beings from another dimension or from, somewhere far out in space, coming to take over the world, which is certainly not true. And again, I used to believe in all those, those alien stuff. I used to be into that stuff, but then it's like, shit, let me tell you something. Like, how these guys on YouTube, they're doing, top 10, top 15 countdowns, of, whatever topic. Like somebody might pick, top 10, objects in space or scary sounds from space, greater facts about other planets, or 10 signs of alien life, right? Certain things like that. I used to be big into those. Hell, I used to watch, what's this guy, Top 15s? Which he's not on YouTube anymore. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if the guy's dead or, maybe he quit YouTube. The guy has like, 4 million subscribers, something like that. He shouldn't just disappear like this. I don't know what the hell happened to him. But he used to do a lot of good videos, like say 6 years ago, or whatever. Give me a second. Yeah, but going back to what I was saying, man, is it's like shit. Well, guess what? All of that gets thrown to the side, right? All this proof that there's beings from other worlds that visited the Earth. All these strange sounds from other planets, right? Strange objects seen in space. All of that gets thrown in the trash once you find out that NASA's a bunch of nonsense, right? Once you find out that there's no such thing as an infinite universe, and there's no proof it is. I mean, why should I believe that? Well, for one, that that everything was created, 13.8 billion years ago, which is what 13,800,000,000, roughly, years ago, by an explosion from two particles. Which, by the way, nobody knows how the two particles came into existence. It's like, how the hell could there be two particles that existed before the creation of anything? It's like, so where did the two particles come from? They don't got the answers for that. But apparently, that's what they'll tell you. It's like, why the hell should I believe that? It's like, why should I believe that, like, say for an example, there's a statue over there. It's like, should I believe that the statue, just carved itself into a shape of a person? Or if we say for example, if we set a stone and leave it for, say, 10 million years, is there a chance that this stone, due to, say, for example, erosion from the weather, or, animal life, scratching it, or whatever could happen to it, right? Is there a chance that within 10 million years, it could just become a statue of, say, a human or whatever? Obviously, there's no chance that could happen. Could the stone get a little bit of, wear and tear on it from the elements and from, animals, scratching against it, or, whatever else could happen to it out in the elements? Sure, something could happen to it, right? Might get a little bit of, erosion, start to, parts might try to, start chip off or whatever. Of course, that could happen. But again, what are the odds of it becoming a statue of a human or something? Obviously, that's not going to happen. So again, it's like, so the statue obviously had humans, right, come out and, carve the statue into the image that was desired for it to be turned into, right? So if I believe that, by what form of logic would it not make sense that the Earth and every life form on it must have been designed by some type of intelligence? Now again, as to who or what that intelligence is, that's up for discussion. But to pretend that it wasn't some type of intelligence that created it, that's just an illogical fallacy. That's called being ignorant right there. So again, it's not an argument as to, say, what God or gods created it. Again, that's a whole different conversation. I of course believe in the Bible, but as far as what God or gods it was that created the world, that's an entirely different conversation. But the conversation about, was Earth created but like intelligently, or was it some type of random accident, that's a different conversation. So again, if you want to debate as to what God or group of gods created the world, that's an entirely different debate compared to if the world was intelligently designed by something, right? Intelligently built by something, compared to if it just randomly came into existence. To pretend that it just randomly came into existence by accident, that's not reasonable. That's just absolutely unbelievable how people in this day and age could believe something like that. Like, say for an example, I got to give Eric Dubay some credit, which I get on him because he goes off, right? He definitely goes off on a few things, but I'll give him credit, right? He does some good documentaries on certain subjects. Like one, which I've actually read this because this was out of his famous book that he has, right? The Flat Earth Conspiracy by Eric Dubay. Look it up. A very good book, 9 out of 10. Though he does go off on the dinosaurs because he teaches that dinosaurs never existed, which is just absolutely ridiculous. because there's plenty of evidence to support that they did exist at some point in time. So, but that's a different conversation. I won't go into that. But I gotta give him credit. Look up Eric Dubay, evolution. Right, the theory of evolution. He did like an hour-long video, which basically he's just reading out of his book. Oh man, that scared me there. Anyway, going back to what I said, is he made a video out of the book. Right, he made a video out of the book. So he read the chapter of the book and made it into a video. Right, which is a very good video. Look it up, Eric Dubay, evolution. Right, the theory of evolution. He did a phenomenal job proving how that makes very little sense. Sure, a second. So yeah, say for an example, right, to just give another example, it's like, say for example, a building, right? Obviously, the foundation of the building had to be made perfect so the building could stand, right? People had to come out, intelligent human beings, right? Humans that are conscious and know what they're doing had to come out, set all the bricks, the wood, the windows, the insulation for the walls. Some of them might have elevators in them. Intelligent human beings had to come out, spend whatever amount of time it took to, form all the blueprints for the building, and figure out they all have all the materials, put it all together, right? So, say for an example, it's like, could a building form by itself by a random accident? Or if we just set all of the building materials in a pile, could they all just, say if we gave them 1 billion years, could they all just form? Obviously that can't happen. So again, it's like, if something like that can't happen, well, by what form of logic could one then claim that a human being or any type of life form on Earth, which is way more complex than creating a building? Because again, the building is made from just material that exists on the Earth. However, a human, or say a fish or a bird, is an actual creature that has a it knows that it's alive, right? It has a force within it, which I call a spirit, right, or a soul. Which Dreadlord's going to get a kick out of that because he don't believe it. There's a soul, right, aka the Seven Israelite. But I mean, that's way more complex than just making a building out of materials that are not conscious of their, of where they are or what they are, right? They just exist, but they don't have any form of consciousness. So of course it's, much more difficult to create a creature or a being that knows that's aware that it's alive, right? So again, if the building cannot form, which is just made of materials that are unconscious and have no, knowledge that they even exist, right? They're just there. It's like, so if that couldn't happen, by what form of logic could a human then claim that they somehow came into existence by a random accident? That just makes no logical sense right there. So again, was the Earth created by some form of intelligence? Absolutely. Now again, as to who or what that intelligence is, that's an entirely different conversation that you can go back and forth on. But to pretend that it wasn't made by some type of intelligence is just, they're just lying to themselves at that point. Because again, going back to what I was saying about outer space, there's no proof that there's a quintillion planets, right? They say, well, what is there, a quintillion or septillion? Look that up, right? They say there's a quintillion or septillion. Look it up, right? One of those pronunciations. It's it's ridiculous. Like, how the hell do you guys know that? And don't forget, they claim it's like, so wait a second. So you guys can't go to the moon in 2023, but 50 years ago in the 60s you could do it, right? Because now they claim, well, we don't have the technology to safely get humans through the Van Allen belt. It's like, wait a second, how the hell did you go there in the 60s, but today with the advanced technology that we have, we can't get there today? It's like the average person doesn't catch on to that. And then what about how the moon rocks that they gave to the museums, when they did their further inspection on it, it just turned out to be old wood. And what about the astronaut suits that they put in the museums? If you look at the tread on the boots, and then you look at the pictures of the boot mark that it left on the moon, they don't add up. But that was supposed to be the suit that they walked on the moon with. And then what about the sea rock? Look that up if you don't know what that is. Right? Basically, it was a rock that was in one of the pictures, and it had the letter C that was on the rock with it, like, say, a Sharpie or something. Look it up. It's real. And then in the future pictures, that was brushed out of it, right? They edited that part out. But it's like, wait a second. Let's say if it was real, it's like, what are the odds of there being a rock with the the letter C? It's like, come on. It's ridiculous. Obviously, it's not real. It's anybody that believes that today is just doesn't know what they're talking about. But anyway, I think I'll cut the video short there. I hope it was edifying. I'll say shalom.